Hi, it's Jan Howell from YouMakeItSimple.com here with another upcycling and recycling project for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make t-shirt yarn from an upcycled t-shirt. I'll be going over and sharing some tips on how to choose the right kind of t-shirts and how to cut them out. I'll show you how to make a continuous strand of yarn. And if you need to join two strands together, I have a really slick method on how to do that. Stay with me till the end of the video and I'll show you some really fun ideas of what you can do with this colorful, stretchy yarn. Let's go over a few of the items and things that you'll need. So obviously you'll need a t-shirt. The best scenario and the best thing is to find a t-shirt that doesn't have side seams and it's just one continuous piece of fabric. That is ideal, but they're kind of hard to find. And I was going through my stash of upcycled t-shirts and I only had a few that didn't have side seams. But don't worry, because I'm going to show you a really slick way to join the seams to cut off that bulky side seam, straight seam, and make it flow a lot nicer. Another thing to watch for is the content of the fabric. I like to find t-shirts that have a little bit of synthetic stretch to them and they're not 100% cotton. This particular t-shirt is 100% cotton knit, which is fine for maybe a pair of leggings, baby leggings, or other items that you're going to be making. But for yarn, it doesn't stretch quite as well, and the edges will fray a bit. As you can see with this piece, it doesn't curl as well, and it does fray. You could use that for craft projects or other things. Another thing is, don't limit yourself to just t-shirts. This is a dress that I got on clearance, and it has a really cute stripe and a fun knit, and it's pretty wide, so that would make really cute yarn. I have cut a few strips of that. It curls really nice and it has that cute stripe. So don't limit yourself to just t-shirts. Look for knit skirts and other items of clothing. So another thing I want to mention, if you have a cute t-shirt that has a cute print, I love this polka dot, but one thing to remember and to consider is usually we cut off the bottom, we cut the strips horizontally from your t-shirt. But what happens when you pull the fabric to curl the strips, it's going to curl. Let me just show you on this piece. So this is the bottom of the t-shirt. When I pull it to stretch it, the yarn is going to curl with the wrong side of the fabric showing on the outside, which is fine. This is a really cute yellow, but if I wanted to expose the polka dots, they're going to be hidden inside. If you wanted to cut the strips so that the polka dots show when it's curled, you'll need to cut the strands on the lengthwise. So on a t-shirt, it would look like this. I would cut the strips this way. So cut the strips this way instead of horizontally, because when you pull it, it curls so that the print and the outside of the fabric is on the outside. So something that most people don't know, and you would really be disappointed if you cut all the strips and the polka dots were on the inside. That would be a bummer. So something to consider. Let's go over how to cut the strips from a shirt that doesn't have a side seam. Now I have already removed the bottom hem. I've just cut it off. You can use scissors or a rotary cutter. Flatten your t-shirt out and fold it in half lengthwise, but leave it unfolded about 1 to 2 inches at the top. Another thing to consider is if the shirt has a logo on it or a print or something like this, you don't want this in your strips. So I'm not going to have as much fabric as I would otherwise, but it still will work. I usually, if it didn't have a logo on it and I would cut from armpit to armpit here and use the rest of this fabric. Now there are ways to use the top part if you really wanted to get frugal and use all the whole fabric. You can do that, but I'm just going to cut this logo out. I'll just cut my strips up until that point. Now you can cut your strips different sizes. So these two pieces were cut from 2-inch strips, and it's a little bit beefier yarn. This would be good if you're using it for rugs or something that needs a little bit more stability and a thicker yarn. These two strips were cut with 1-inch pieces, and it's also going to determine if your fabric is a little bit thicker or thinner. If the fabric is really thin, you might want to go wider. If you want a little strand of yarn, then cut it thinner. So it just depends. You might want to just experiment maybe with the sleeve, which was what I did with this one, just to see how it pulls. I am going to cut these in 2-inch strips just because I'm going to be making a rug and I want something a little bit more bulky. If you're using just scissors, you can just cut every 2 inches or every inch, just depending on how you want to do that. But we're not going to cut clear to the edge. I'm going to stop about 1 inch away from the edge of this top fold. So I'm just going to stop cutting as soon as I get past this first fold. So on that last one, just cut it all the way off. Remove the top of the shirt. Pull these down. And this is where the magic happens. So as you can see, there's a section that's not cut. And what I'm going to do is just slide my arm in there so I can cut it a little easier. So this seems just really odd that we're going to cut these at an angle and expect them to be straight, but it all works out really well. I'm going to cut from this point to this point at a diagonal. And then I'll follow that same pattern up to this first, so it has that. And we're going to go to the next, cut from the end to the end at a diagonal. See that? And go to the next. And on that last, I'll just diagonally cut it at the same width. And there's your end. And to make the yarn, you just take it and pull and stretch it. And the more you pull, the tighter that yarn and smaller that yarn will be. See how that curls in on itself? And it gets a lot smaller. Now if you wanted a smaller yarn, I would cut that strip just to 1 inch, or you could even do a 1.5 inch. I forgot to mention that stretchy yarn makes a really good option for face masks, and I have a tutorial just for that. I'm using this fabric yarn instead of elastic, which is a lot more comfortable. But so if you wanted a really good way to, if you're stretching out a lot of this yarn, you can almost even get fabric burn by pulling it. Trust me, I was making a lot of this stuff, and a good option is to wrap it around like a bedpost or something and then pull it around that, just kind of back and forth, and it will stretch it out really nicely. So just go through your whole strip and see how that makes. That's going to make a lot of yarn, which is really quite fun. Once you have it all pulled, you can roll them up in balls. You can store them like this. You could wrap it around a piece of cardstock if you wanted to. You just start by wrapping it, making a little ball bundle, and then wrap it. I have had this basket of knit yarn balls for many, many years. It's just a colorful thing that I love to display. It has really cute texture and colorful. Okay, so let me demo on this shirt how to go about, because this shirt has side seams. And once you cut those, this is the serger seam. That's really bulky, and as you can see on this, I really like the stripe, but it does have those seams in it. And depending on what project you're using it for, sometimes you won't even see that and they'll be just fine. But if you don't want to see those seams, let me show you how to go about that. Cut off the bottom hem. I'm just going to cut these in 1-inch strips. So you can do the whole thing, but just to show you how to join those, I'll just do a couple strips. So I'm going to totally get rid of that seam by just cutting it off. And I would do that the whole way down. You could actually, before you just cut off the whole side seam in one thing and be done with that. Take the two ends that you're going to join together and gently pull the ends so that you can see which way the fabric is curling. See how it's curling down? See how it's curling? I'm going to put that curling side facing down. Flatten it out and take this other strip that you're joining together. Find which way is curling. It's really important. And see how that's curling down. I want that curling side to face up on top of this piece. Place them at right angles, overlapping just about 1/4 inch at the top and on the side. It doesn't really matter if it's more, but at least 1/4 inch. And where I'm going to be sewing is from this notch down to this notch. I'll take my ruler just so you can see what that would look like stitching here. I don't even pin it, or you can. I don't even draw the line, but if you feel like you need to, you can. I'll just take it to the sewing machine now and sew from there to there. Back stitch. And I just eyeball it to make sure that I'm ending at that notch. Back stitch. So I have my seam there. I'm going to clip away and leave 1/4 inch seam allowance. or even smaller. And these two little ear tags, I want to cut them off just straight like that. So when I open up that seam, it's at a diagonal, and when I pull it, see how that seam is tucked inside. Really nice. Can't even see it. Now if I were to, and you're wondering why I just don't sew it at a straight angle, is because this is the t-shirt with the side seam. Look how bulky that is. So when I pull it, even if we were to put that right sides together so the seam was inside, look how bulky that is, that section. If I were using this to crochet with or to do other projects with, this section right here would be really, really bulky, but not so much, not here. So as you can see, when I stretch that, it just evens it out, distributes that seam at an angle, so it's really tucked inside and nice. Pretty cool. So if you can't find t-shirts with without seams, you can join them this way, and it works really well. If you really needed to, you could do this by using a needle and thread as well. Who would have thought that you can make yarn from an upcycled t-shirt? Such a fun thing, easy to do. So just a few ideas of what you can use it for. Crocheting, look how fun and easy it is. This is the thinner strip to crochet. I have made rugs. I have crocheted the rugs. You can make baskets. I have made rugs by weaving them. You can use them like jute or ribbon on packages. This stuff works really well on face masks or just as a warm, cozy decoration for your home. I have a really fun project using t-shirt yarn coming up, so stay tuned. Go through your closets, find some cute colors of t-shirts, and make yarn. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click on the bell so you can be notified on anything that I put up new and exciting. Stay tuned for some upcoming projects using t-shirt yarn. We'll see you next time.